Central Park is in the heart of Red Wing. It's located in the city's nationally recognized historic mall district and is surrounded by government buildings, churches, and homes. There's an exciting renovation project underway at Central Park. On today's News Notes, we'll get to talk to the people that made this project happen and find out what we can expect over the coming months. Brian Peterson is the planning director for the City of Red Wing. Brian has been involved with the Central Park project team since last year. Brian, what's going to be happening at Central Park over the next year?
Well, Deanna, Central Park is really one of our really nicest parks in town. It's a historic park. It's very heavily used. But over the next year, it's going to be getting an improvement that I think is even going to make it better. The existing bandstand that's been there since 1932 is going to be reconstructed, and what will be taking place there is a new band shell that'll have a lot more functionality to it.
How do the renovations that are planned fit into the city's overall comprehensive plan?
Well, in 2007, our city council did adopt a new comprehensive plan, and there were a ton of different policies that were part of that plan, but one real key element of the plan was that we want to focus a lot of investment in our core of our city. So the plan speaks a lot about investing and helping redevelopment happen in the downtown and the central core of the city. And one of the things that is essential to help make that happen is cultural and park investments in that core area. So the improvements to Central Park are really very consistent with our comprehensive plan adopted last year.
What would you say the significance of Central Park is to the historic mall district?
Well, the historic mall is a really unique part of Red Wing. There are very few Midwestern cities that have that, what we call the civic mall district, that collection of churches and parks that start near where the courthouse, the old courthouse is, and lead down to Levy Park and the Mississippi River. It's a real unique kind of public area that very few Midwestern cities have. Central Park is real central to that. It's a park area surrounded by civic buildings and churches. It's a gathering place. It's just extremely pivotal, part of the historic district and Red Wing.
Can you give us some background about how this renovation project came about?
Well, sure. Last year the Jones Family Fund came to the city, and really it was their idea really to look at how Central Park might be improved. They had this idea of helping to make the current bandstand even more functional than it is today by making it usable for different kinds of events. Right now it's somewhat limited to smaller kinds of performances, things that can happen on several levels. It isn't ADA accessible. So their idea was, let's see if we could bring a band shell that would have more uses and more availability to the park, create a park that is really nice now, but make it even better, make it a place that more and more events could take place at.
Are there other specific ways that the renovations will improve the park?
Well, the main part of this project is replacing the bandstand with a band shell, but there are some other kind of accessory improvements that will be happening. There's some reconstruction of the walks. There'll still be the crisscrossing walks, but they're getting relocated just a little bit. The band shell, or excuse me, the band shell itself is going to be fully handicap accessible, and they're doing that through a system of sidewalks, basically. So there's some improvements around the band shell that will make the whole facility accessible to both performers and, say there were some member in the audience that needed to get up to the stage, that sort of thing will be completely accessible. We're also looking in the future at renovations to the balustrade wall, which sits on the south end of the park. Was constructed, we think, in the late 1880s or 90s, and needs some tuck pointing and repair. And there'll be some other landscaping and lighting improvements.
With city budgets being pretty tight, particularly for capital projects, how is this project being funded?
Well, that's really the most wonderful part about this project, is that the Jones Family Fund is donating the new facilities to Red Wing and to the park and to the people of Red Wing. Of course, the city work crews and staff have some in-kind contributions. We're involved in the project, but the funding for the new band shell is coming from the Jones Family Fund.
What other projects have happened in Red Wing as a result of such private-public partnerships as this?
Red Wing has such a long history of public-private partnerships to go way back. Some of our first parks were public-private partnerships, and just to name a few of them, major community parks that we all enjoy today: Levy Park, John Rich Park, Barn Bluff, Cobble Park, the Memorial Park. They were all, came about because of donations from citizens and residents, or assistance with making improvements to those parks. So we have this long legacy historically of partnerships like that. More recently, we have some other exciting partnerships. The development of the Pottery Park has been, completed all through partnerships, and very recently the Universal Playground, the accessible playground that's under construction in Cobble Park, is part of one of those sorts of partnerships. And besides parks, there have been other kinds of partnerships in the past. The original library, the Sheldon Theater, these were donations made by folks to better the community. More recently, the renovation of the Sheldon Theater, improvements to the depot where the visitor center and the Arts Association is, and the partnerships that made the expansion of the YMCA possible. We have a very generous community, and it's one of the things that people enjoy living in Red Wing for, is because of that giving community.
Brian, when is the project expected to be completed by?
Our anticipated completion date is the 4th of July of 2009.
Aside from the plans that are underway at Central Park now, what other improvements are planned for Central Park in the future?
Well, we hope to continue to improve the landscaping in the park. There are some ideas about making the 5th Street end of the park fit more with the park and the old courthouse. I think there'll be some lighting improvements, some other benches and furnishings, those kinds of improvements I think you'll see in the future.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Sure, thank you.
The chairman of the Jones Family Foundation, Scott Jones, is here with us to talk about their investment in the project. Scott, what is it that made the Jones Family Foundation want to get involved with the renovation of Central Park?
Well, Deanna, like so many of the things that make Red Wing a very special place to live, a lot of the ideas come from citizens of Red Wing traveling around the globe and saying, gee, we could do that in Red Wing. And this is a great example. My wife Ann and I were on Victoria Island going through the Bouchard Gardens, and we heard this wonderful music playing. We kept being drawn to it. We got there, and there was this beautiful new band shell that was there. And out in front of it were hundreds of people on blankets, with picnic baskets, having a glass of wine, and listening to Irish folk music. And we thought, wow, I mean, that is such a neat thing, and what a great thing for Red Wing. So we started to think about where this might be appropriate for our town, and Central Park is one of the great assets of this community, although a bit underutilized. And it was a great opportunity to hopefully do something to spruce up the park.
In your eyes, Scott, what are your goals for this project?
Well, as I mentioned a bit ago, we thought that Central Park may be an underutilized asset in the city of Red Wing. And think of how wonderful it would be for the citizens of this community to all come together on an occasional basis for wonderful entertainment, for civic events, the way that Central Park really used to be. You know, years ago it was used for big political rallies and for celebrations that the whole community participated in. And we wanted to see that happen again. As we came back from Vancouver Island and started to think about this and talked about it with my mother, who was terribly excited about this concept, we kept thinking about it as the community's living room, a place for the community to all come together, enjoy entertainment, and be like a family again. And so that's one of the main goals of doing this.
You did talk about this, but can you talk a little more specifically about how you look for the park renovations to impact the community as in general?
Well, we think that arts and entertainment can be a big part of how Red Wing grows and how Red Wing feels about itself. And the range of things that can be done in the new band shell are greatly expanded over what we could have done here before. The Red Wing Arts Association will continue to be a great programming force in Central Park, and we're talking with them of ways that they can even expand the Arts in the Park series. We expect the Sheldon to also do programming here and make it sort of an adjunct location for them to do really creative outdoor programming from time to time. There'll continue to be great events here, things like the Diversity Festival, other community celebrations. We envision a day when the farmers market comes here and rings Central Park on a Saturday morning, and you can kind of envision that cold, crisp autumn morning with music playing in the band shell and the whole community coming together at the farmers market. So there's a wide range of things that can be done here. In addition, it can be a great additional anchor for downtown Red Wing. Anything we can do to bring people to the downtown core business district is a good thing for everyone in Red Wing.
When can viewers expect to be able to enjoy all the wonderful features of the new Central Park?
Well, we're having a groundbreaking on Monday, the 15th of September. We probably will start construction late in October, and the great celebration that's being planned right now is for a July 4th, 2009 grand opening. What a spectacular day to bring everybody together down here.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our Channel 6 viewers about this project?
We at the Jones Family Foundation feel so lucky to be able to do this sort of thing and participate with the citizens of Red Wing in making Central Park all that it can be. The Central Park Steering Committee was a great force in helping design this and make it be a park that represented all of the citizens of Red Wing. It's going to be a great celebration July 4th.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
The Central Park Steering Committee engaged an architectural firm to take on this renovation project. And here with us today is Milo Thompson and Ann Voda. Tell us about your firm and what do you specialize in?
Well, hi, we're a firm from Minneapolis of about 18 architects. We were Milo established the firm in 1971. And we've been a generalist design practice ever since our inception, and try not to limit ourselves by specializing too much in any one thing. However, we do have a little specialty in designing band shells and music venues.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to work on, anything involving performance. And so we have done concert halls. This is our third band shell. And we've worked on numerous churches Among them, several facilities that have very high quality acoustics. The St. Paul Chamber plays in one of them, for instance. And there are recitals at Sundon Music Hall at Hamline University. So it's been a great interest in my career. And Ann and I have worked together on 2 of the band shells of the 3 that we have.
What has the role of your architectural firm been with the transformation of Central Park?
Well, we started by being part of the design of the structure itself, which quickly led to an expansion of an examination of the whole park.
Well, in as much as the Jones Foundation was involved in the whole thing, but asking us to concentrate on the structure of the band shell, we've focused mostly on just bringing attention to getting a really high quality, beautiful structure, and the site work will involve the work of others in coordination, and we will be coordinating that work. As an example, the city will be doing some of the surrounding work that enhances the band shell.
Milo, can you tell our viewers about the unique characteristics that have been incorporated into the band shell design here?
Yes, we had it was a very interesting beginning here because we were shown a model of a band shell that the committee, the design committee, thought appropriate. It showed scale and it was a hemisphere. I guess that's a hemisphere, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And a hemisphere has really severe acoustic problems because of the concave surfaces reflect sound in a really peculiar way. It focuses sound so that it makes a very awkward performing environment. So the first thing we did with that image was to put a lot of harder geometry to it, a faceted geometry, a kind of a zigzag form for the main structure, which essentially addressed those acoustic problems. And in addition to that, of course, it makes for a very unique looking structure. I think people will probably wonder why the form is that, but it's going to be something that can be easily explained. It has a good story to it.
What other projects have you worked on in other communities that are similar to the Central Park project here in Red Wing?
Well, in the cities, in Minneapolis, we did the Lake Harriet band shell, several projects for the Minneapolis Park system, and then in Plymouth, Minnesota, we did the Hildy band shell, which are similar venues to the one planned for Red Wing, but different in several design features, I would say.
Well, the thing in common that they all have are a very big concern for the acoustics, and primarily acoustics for the people who perform within the shell. But both of those facilities are much larger than this. The Lake Harriet band shell, for instance, can take a full 90-person orchestra, and the Hildy Performance Center in Plymouth also is similar size for a stage. This one is much smaller because the program is different. We're not designing for a 90-piece orchestra in this one. But so the difference really of these facilities are the actual physical dimensions. And Lake Harriet or the Hildy would not be an appropriate model if we were talking about the scale, because this site is much smaller than those two sites. So I think we've got a very good balance here between aesthetics and image and functionality.
I'd like to add that this new Red Wing facility is going to be very flexible in its function. Even though it's smaller, it's more intimate and can adapt to different size performances more easily. A large part of the groups will be, maybe 1 person, 2 person, maybe a 5-person combo, and this facility will much more readily house that kind of performance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and another thing, Ann, that's common to all of these, which is a really nice feature and especially fitting here. These facilities have the rear walls of the shell consist of glass, a big window, as a matter of fact, kind of a curtain wall window, so that when you look at the performance, you are actually seeing through the shell and seeing the background. Now here we have a really unusually attractive background of the historic buildings, and so that feature of a transparent back wall has been common to all of the three facilities that we've worked on.
And how would you say this project stands apart from the other projects that you've worked on?
Well, every project is different that we do. But one of the outstanding features of this one is the way that we've worked with the client group. The Jones Foundation, the HPC, the local historic group, and the committee that has been kind of overseeing the design as we've commenced since February have just been very good to work with, part of the design process, and very encouraging as far as setting the goals for a high quality project at the end of the day.
We always look forward to those experiences where everyone has a goal to do the very best. And in my experience, this is outstanding, really, in the way everyone approached the project with an attitude of wanting to do a really high-quality project. And I'm confident that we're going to deliver on that.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our Channel 6 viewers about this project and what they can expect to see in the transformation of Central Park over the next year?
Well, one thing is, don't be alarmed when the construction starts. It always looks worse at the beginning than at the end. So as the demolition occurs and new construction starts, the transformation will be very dramatic.
Well, thank you, Ann and Milo, for joining us on News Notes, and also just for all the great work you're helping make happen here in Red Wing for our big Central Park project.
Well, thank you.
It's been our pleasure.
The wall behind us was built in 1932 as an upgrade then to the existing Central Park. Central Park is in Red Wing's historic district, which is overseen by the Red Wing Historic Preservation Commission. And the chairperson of that commission is Dave Hallstrom. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Deanna. Great to be here.
Can you tell about the history of the park and how did this site come to be a park in the first place?
Well, Hamline University was originally on the south end of the park, and then they relocated in the late 1800s to St. Paul, and then the city eventually purchased the property, and now it has the park here in its site.
And what renovations have happened over the years? There's a balustrade on one end and this band shell on this end. How did these things come to be here?
Well, the park took many transformations over the years, and I believe it was in 1830s the northern end of the band shell was built, and also another band shell on the north end.
How has the Heritage Preservation Commission been involved with these new renovation plans that are underway now?
Well, it's been a long process for the HPC. The project started back probably over a year ago, and we've been involved in this ever since then. There was a committee formed to help with the renovation of the park, and had input from the mayor and city staff, and also the Heritage Preservation Commission. So we had input all the way through, and now this is accumulation of all these thoughts and processes, and we're glad with the end results it's going to be.
What pieces of the park are going to be preserved in a historic sense?
Well, right behind us, this wall, if you notice all the limestone, there's an archway here. That's going to be on the back side, or on the north side of the new band shell, and we're hoping a portion of the front limestone is going to be also preserved where like a conductor would also be. The limestone is really an important element to the park and the surrounding buildings. If you look around, all the limestone in the churches and the courthouse and everything. So limestone was an important element to keep the character of the park.
What other tidbits about the historical perspective of this project would you like to share with our viewers?
Well, I think it's going to be a great fit with the park. We're really excited about it. I mean, the size and the scale, the overall appearance of it, the color, and everything. It's all going to be a real nice blend. It'll be a great enhancement for the park, and still keep all the historic character that's here.
Thank you for coming on Channel 6.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
We're at the northeast corner of Central Park, and the Sheldon Theater is just in the backdrop. And here with us is the executive director of the Sheldon Theater, Sean Dowse. Sean, how do you think the renovations at Central Park are going to impact the overall performing arts community in Red Wing?
It's going to have a huge impact because it's going to make a new stage available for all the performing arts groups and artists in Red Wing. Its current configuration, as you know, is built for one kind of performing art. That would be a band, an old-fashioned band. What I say, more like a blow your horn type band. But the new band shell will be configured so it can have a multitude of different uses, different artists.
What about the Sheldon itself? How might the goings-on here at the new Central Park change the programming or the offerings at the Sheldon?
Well, I think it'll change it in the fact that we hope to be part of the goings-on over here, that we hope to use this space too as a part of our programming opportunities in the future.
And as people in Red Wing see sort of an expansion of the performing arts with the new amenities here, could they anticipate there being a time when they actually have to choose between attending something at the Sheldon versus something here at the park?
Well, Deanna, I'm counting on that. I'm hoping that there is that. What we need in Red Wing is more performing arts, more times of the year, more all the time. It would be great if people have to choose what they're going to see tonight, because that is a scene. And once you got a scene, you've got a lively town with lots of stuff to offer people.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to it.
The arts community is also expected to be impacted by these renovations. And here with us to talk about that is Dan Gaida, Executive Director of the Red Wing Arts Association. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Can you tell the viewers at home, how do you expect these renovations to impact the Red Wing arts community?
Right. The renovations to the park are just going to improve the facility and the use of the park tremendously. The two things that the Red Wing Arts Association works with in the park are the Diversity Festival and the concerts in the park in the summer. Both of those events will make just great use of the new stage, the better sound that will come out of the stage, the handicap accessibility, the technology that it will allow, and a big one is the shelter from rain. When we've had to call concerts when there's just been a light shower because people didn't want their instruments to be rained on. So those aspects of the new band shell will just improve the concert potential here at the park tremendously. It's just a great improvement.
I know the Red Wing Arts Association has been very involved with the Diversity Festival for the last several years. How will this new park impact the festival?
Well, the Diversity Festival includes not only the music, which will be a huge part of it, but also the art tent and the food tent. And right now, where we're standing right now is where the food tent goes. And there are trees and obstacles and a sidewalk that runs sort of right through the middle of everything. With the new arrangement of the sidewalks and the landscaping that's going to be done, it'll be much more usable. It'll make it better for visitors. And we're just looking forward to more concerts and different types of events that we can bring into this park and provide for the community of Red Wing.
Dan, what other thoughts would you like to share with our viewers about this project in general?
Well, the Red Wing Arts Association has worked with projects here in the park with the concerts and Diversity Festival for the last number of years. These improvements in the park are going to make it so much more usable. The visitors and guests and performers in the park are going to have a much better experience, and it'll be just a terrific improvement in the park. We're just very excited about it and so grateful that it's going to happen.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Red Wing Construction has been chosen to build the new band shell here at Central Park, and with us is owner Jeff Frost. Welcome.
Welcome, Deanna. Glad to be here and be on Channel 6.
Great. Can you tell us what exactly is entailed with constructing a band shell?
Well, we've been working together with all the parties involved on the project. We're trying to put together a building that will be well received and appreciated by the citizens of Red Wing when we're complete. What we're trying to do is put together a visual and acoustical experience that will work well for the performers as well as bring the history of Red Wing visually to the project when we're completed.
What are the highlights of the construction schedule so people can kind of be prepared to check out big major work while it's happening on this project?
Well, what we're hoping for is late in the fall is to have the concrete foundation in place. That would allow us to erect the main structural steel over the winter. And then after that's erected, it would leave us time for detailing in the spring and also the rest of the landscaping in the spring.
How has Red Wing Construction been involved in the development of the design over the past months?
Well, between myself and my staff, we have worked together with the architect, the Jones Foundation, and the City of Red Wing, all of us striving together to bring a plan that'll be well received by the city. And I think we really worked toward it and met the goal. While working together as this team, we put together a project that I feel is really right for Central Park and the people of Red Wing. And I think the project will provide a landmark that's truly unique and will be here for generations to come.
Jeff, how would you say this project is different from other projects that you've done?
Well, Deanna, all construction projects are different, but this project is special. It's striking, unique, and timeless. And it's bound to become a Red Wing icon for years to come. And I'm just so proud that my company can be part of it now and working on it to completion.
Thanks for joining us on News Notes, Jeff.
Thank you.
Over the next few months, as the project here gets underway, be sure to tune into Channel 6 for ongoing updates, or just come down to the park and take a stroll and check it out for yourself.